want to tell you something. New York City has a new mayor, and he is everything you were warned about. His name is Zohran Mamdani, and during a heat wave, a genuine sweat-through-your-shirt, fans-running full-blast heat wave, this man got on the microphone and told 8.5 million New Yorkers to set their thermostats to 78 degrees. 78! In the name of the collective, in the name of the power grid, in the name of, and I am not making this up, solidarity. Now, I've been doing this a long time, and I have seen some things come across the golden EIP microphone that made me stop, put the paper down, lean back in the Attila the Hun chair, and just marvel at the sheer uncut audacity of the left. And this is one of those moments. The mayor of New York City, a man endorsed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and beloved by every socialist with a tote bag from Brooklyn to the Bronx, is telling you in your own home, paying your own electric bill, that you need to be hot for the team. My friends, you cannot write this stuff. You cannot write it. Meanwhile, Europe, they keep telling us, is so much more enlightened than we are, so much more sophisticated, so much more evolved. Europe is literally baking. Record temperatures, people passing out, and over here, the Trump administration is doing something absolutely radical, something positively dangerous to the liberal order. They are letting you choose what appliances you put in your own kitchen. The nerve, the unmitigated gall. We'll get into all of it. The Green New Scam getting the axe it deserves. The socialist mayor of New York giving heat stroke advice. The Democrats seemingly committed to making sure they never win another election again, bless their hearts. And a couple of young Minnesota boys who are going to make you feel very good about the next generation of Americans. Because let me tell you, after about 20 minutes on the news, you're going to need it. I'm Rick LeBow. This is Rush Hour, and we are just getting started. All right, my friends, let's talk about New York City. And specifically, let's talk about what happens when you elect a man whose entire worldview was assembled from the collected works of people who have never in their lives run so much as a lemonade stand. Not even a lemonade stand. More on that in a minute, by the way. Zohran Mamdani, the new mayor of New York City. I've been watching this fellow, and look, I have to give the man some credit in a backhanded sort of way, because at least he is honest about what he believes. He is not hiding it. He is not triangulating. He is not doing the Clinton two-step where he says one thing to the donors and something else entirely at the Union Hall. No. Mamdani is telling you exactly what he wants to do to you, and he is delighted about it. So here is what happened. Heat wave hits New York. Hot. Really hot. And what does the mayor do? The mayor gets on whatever platform these people use now and tells New Yorkers, residents and business owners, mind you, to set their thermostats to 78 degrees. 78. Now, for those of you in Rio Linda, 78 degrees inside your home is not comfortable. That is open a window and pray for a breeze territory. That is sitting on a plastic chair and standing up and it makes a noise territory. That is your grandmother's house in August before they had window units. And the framing, the framing is what gets me. He didn't say, hey, the grid is strained, please be mindful. He didn't say we're working on upgrading infrastructure. He wrapped it in collectivism. We're all in this together. Solidarity, the common good. New York, it's hot out there, and the power grid is working overtime to keep us cool. Like the power grid is some exhausted crossing guard who just needs a little appreciation. And look, people online, people with more sense than his entire cabinet combined, started saying it immediately. Welcome to communism. And that's funny, but it's not entirely a joke, because this is the communist model. This is how it works. Step 1, you convince people that individual choices are selfish. Step 2, you dress up deprivation as virtue. Step 3, you are hot in your own home, and you are supposed to feel good about it because you are helping the collective. Now, here is what they will never tell you, and I know these people. I know them better than they know themselves. The people telling you to set your thermostat to 78, their offices are 68 degrees. Their cars are 68 degrees. Their apartments, which they own, not rent, and they all own, let me assure you, those are 68 degrees. The sacrifice is always for you, never for them. And then we get the story out of the Washington Examiner about this man's rent freeze policy. Because of course there is a rent freeze policy. Half the rental apartments in New York City are already under rent stabilization, and now the mayor wants to extend his frozen fingers further into that market. And what do rent freezes do? Every time, without fail, every single time this experiment has been tried, on this continent or any other, what do rent freezes do? They reduce the supply of housing. Landlords stop maintaining buildings. Developers stop building. The housing stock degrades. And then the people the policy was supposedly helping are living in buildings that are falling apart and wondering why nobody will build anything new. The poor are not poor because the rich are rich, and the housing is not scarce because landlords are greedy. The housing is scarce because the regulatory and political environment in New York City makes it essentially impossible to build anything without losing your mind and half your money to City Hall first. And this mayor, this brilliant economic thinker, is going to solve the problem by adding more regulations. It's like trying to cure a fever by putting on another sweater, and then telling your neighbors to put on sweaters too, for solidarity. And you know what the real kicker is? The Washington Examiner caught one of his endorsed candidates, a woman running for state senate up there. She spent years working for organizations funded by George Soros, and now she is out on the campaign trail railing against oligarchs and billionaires. George Soros, the billionaire, is funding the anti-billionaire candidate. And they do this with a straight face. They walk out there every single day and they say these things and they expect you not to notice. I'm telling you, the all-knowing, all-sensing, all-seeing Maha Ricky has been watching the left for a very long time. And the audacity, the sheer wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling audacity never gets old. Now, let me pivot, because this connects directly to something I find genuinely encouraging, and that is what is happening in Washington with the appliance rules. Because you have to understand what these two stories are, at their core, about the same thing. They are about the same question. Who decides how you live in your own home? The Trump administration, and God bless them for this, is axing what I am going to call, what we should all call, the Green New Scam appliance regulations. These are the rules that were quietly cooked up during the Biden years that were going to phase out gas stoves, strangle your HVAC options, and generally make your kitchen and your living room into a laboratory for environmental ideology. And they were doing it the sneaky way. Not through Congress. Oh, no. Congress might have said no. They were doing it through the regulatory agencies, through the Department of Energy, through 1,000 little rules that accumulate like barnacles on the hull of your freedom, until one day you look up and you cannot buy the appliance you want. And it's worth noting, this is happening while Europe is baking. Europe, the continent our betters are always pointing at and saying, why can't we be more like them, is having record heat waves, and their energy situation over there is not great. because they listened to the environmentalist wackos. They killed their coal plants. They killed their nuclear plants in some cases. They became dependent on Russian gas, and we all know how that worked out. And now, when it gets hot, the grid strains and people struggle. And the answer they are getting from their politicians sounds, frankly, a lot like what Zohran Mamdani just told New Yorkers. Here, the Trump administration is going the other direction. They are saying, you want a gas stove, you can have a gas stove. You want a certain kind of water heater? That is your business, not ours. And the environmentalist wackos are losing their minds over this, because for them, this was never really about the environment. It was about control. It was about the government telling you what goes in your kitchen. And when that control gets stripped away, they react as if you have personally wounded them. Because in a way, you have. You have taken their favorite toy. I love this stuff. I love watching it happen, because I told you this was coming. Don't doubt me. I told you years ago that if you gave these people an inch on energy policy, if you let them get their hands on the regulatory machinery, they would eventually be in your kitchen telling you what you could cook on and how hot you could be in your own home. And here we are. And now, thank goodness, we're rolling some of it back. The government cannot give you anything it hasn't first taken from someone else. And these regulations were taking something from you. They were taking your choices. And it is about time someone gave them back. All right, a few things I want to get to before we let you go today. First, John Brennan. Former CIA Director John Brennan, a man who, and I want to be precise here, spent the better part of 4 years going on television and telling anyone who would listen that Donald Trump was basically a Russian asset, that he was a traitor, that the walls were closing in. John Brennan has filed a lawsuit to force the Trump administration to preserve records connected to federal inquiries involving him. Now, isn't that something? The man who presided over a CIA that was, shall we say, not exactly neutral in the 2016 election season, the man who had his security clearance yanked, the man who has been under scrutiny for years, is running to the courts to make sure the documents about him are preserved. You know what that tells me? That tells me John Brennan knows exactly what is in those documents, and he would very much like to control the narrative around them. When someone files a lawsuit to preserve records that are about themselves, that is not the move of a man who thinks those records are going to exonerate him. Just an observation. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Now, the turtle, Mitch McConnell, EMS dispatch audio has come out revealing that the turtle was found unconscious when he was hospitalized last month. The story at the time was vague. Undisclosed reasons. He was fine. Nothing to see here. Well, unconscious is not nothing. I'm not going to pile on the man. He's been in the Senate since approximately the Eisenhower administration. And whatever you think of his record, and there is plenty to think about, I do wish him well. But I will say this. The impulse in Washington to hide health information from the public about people who hold enormous power is a habit that needs to break. We went through this with Biden for years. The American people deserve to know the condition of the people making decisions on their behalf. That should not be a controversial statement, and yet somehow, every single time, it is. Every single time, and I want to end on this because it is going to make you feel good, and I think you have earned something that makes you feel good after all of the above. 2 young brothers in Minnesota, kids, they set up a lemonade stand at golf tournaments to raise money for Tee It Up for the Troops, which is a veterans organization. And these 2 boys have raised $60,000. $60,000 from a lemonade stand. Because they wanted to do something for the people who served this country. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see that, when I read that story, I think we're going to be all right. You can have Zohran Mamdani in New York telling people to sweat for socialism. You can have John Brennan running to the courts. You can have all the nonsense out of Washington that the drive-by media will breathlessly cover for you every single day. And two kids in Minnesota will set up a table with some cups and a pitcher and raise $60,000 for veterans because it was the right thing to do. That is America. That is what it actually is, underneath all the noise. And nobody on CNN is going to tell you about it, so I'm glad I could. My friends, we have covered some ground today. The socialist mayor of New York is asking you to be hot in your own home in the name of the collective. The Trump administration is cutting the green new scam appliance rules and giving you back your kitchen. John Brennan is lawyering up. The turtle was apparently unconscious and nobody told us until now. And two boys in Minnesota reminded us what this country is actually made of. 2 days from now, it is the 4th of July, 250 years. 250 years since a group of men, flawed, brilliant, courageous men, signed their names to a piece of paper that changed the world. And the left will spend that day telling you everything wrong with those men and that document. And you know what you should do? Ignore them completely. Fire up the grill. Light the fireworks. Hug somebody you love. Teach your kids something true about this country, because this is still the greatest nation on the face of the earth. With half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. I could make that case against any challenger, anywhere, anytime. And so could you. Don't let them take the joy of this country away from you. Don't let them turn the birthday party into a grievance seminar. That's what they want. Don't give it to them. Enjoy the weekend, folks. The 4th is coming, 2:50. I'm Rick LeBow. This has been Rush Hour. Same time tomorrow, if they let us back on.